mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
So back in my day, says me, walk it off. You look great. Get over it. That was cancer therapy. That was survivorship. Until it wasn't, and we started to think collectively as a society on, oh my God, maybe you're not quite out of the woods yet. Just because you're disease-free doesn't mean you're done. When the doctor says you're cured, go home. That ain't the end. What I find fascinating about today's narrative is that there's a wonderful new, dare I say, a marketplace. What I can only call like concierge navigation platforms, filling in for the gaps that are left by the internet or nonprofits or the cancer centers or whatever. So why not have a wonderful consumer marketplace of online services that help you navigate and get mentorship and peer support and how to find insurance and deal with your billing? I think it's a good problem to have. And that is what Mariana is bringing to market in this brave new world of cancer survivorship. All right, Mariana, welcome to Out of Patience. No stress, no pressure. Here in the studio. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Yeah.
We had our first day at CancerCon.
Exactly on the last day.
Well, any day there is good day.
It was amazing. I loved it.
I wanted to know how you found out about it.
I think it was social media. I'm not sure.
Social media still works?
I think it still does.
Okay. I'm glad it worked for that. There are other things we can complain it does a lot of damage to, but yeah.
I would say Instagram still works. Facebook, I'm not sure about it.
Yeah, I don't think anybody uses Facebook.
My mom's on Facebook.
She's
also 78.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Jen actually owned Facebook until like 2016. They're like, whatever. Then our parents got on there like, no, I don't want my mom to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is like that. We feel it in our team. Like whoever is above 60 is on Facebook. And then like the younger crowd is on Instagram.
Yeah.
I actually got off Facebook because my grandmother would start sending me requests. So I was just like, okay, it's time to find something new.
All right, my first question is, so you're from Portugal, went to a French school and speak English. How many personality disorders do you have?
Well, I speak 5 languages, so a
Wow.
lot. I dream in these 5 languages. I think in these 5 languages, so a little bit all over the place.
All right, so I'm going to guess the remaining 2, because clearly it's French, it's Portuguese, and it's English. All right, Jen, you want to guess what other 2 languages she speaks? I don't know. Just take a guess. Hebrew?
No, I
Farsi?
don't think so. No.
No, Italian and Spanish.
Oh, wow.
All the Latins.
Exactly. They're
right.
basically the same with different accents.
Yes, you're a consummate.
Wow, that's crazy.
Amor, amas. Yeah, oh, there you go. Well, good for you.
How many languages can you speak?
I speak
Matt.
English. I speak just enough Spanish to not get lost
Okay.
in Spain.
Okay.
I speak a little Yiddish,
Okay.
which is, the old, like German Jewish language. And I speak a tiny bit of Hebrew.
Okay. That's
I can
not bad.
read it. I can write it. I can speak it. I don't understand it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's my heritage. Go Jews. I want to learn more about Portugal and why I should go there instead of anywhere else in Europe, because I've only heard amazing things.
Yes, absolutely. I've heard such beautiful things about it.
Yeah. It's amazing how Portugal now is in the map. Like I left Portugal 15 years ago to live abroad and study abroad. And I remember at the time I was like, Portugal, like where is it exactly? And right now, everyone's like, my mom has been, my uncle is going, like everyone has a trip booked to Portugal. It's great to see how people are excited about it. Portugal's great. You should definitely go. Amazing food, really good weather. People are still nice.
People are still nice. What's that like? I've met my country. I want to go there now.
I say still because
Yeah.
it depends on where you go, but very genuine country.
Is Portuguese hard to learn if you only speak broken Spanish, or you kind of pick it up pretty quickly?
No, it's hard because
All right.
Portuguese sounds like Russian.
Oh.
Like,
It's harsh.
yeah, the tones are really weird. My co-founder, Caroline, has been in Portugal since January. She speaks Spanish perfectly. and still speaks very broken Portuguese.
Do they judge you that the Americans showed up, or they just take your money? Like, what's the culture for for foreigners like me showing up?
No, for tourists, it's totally open. Like we live out of tourism, so we want people to go there and spend money there. For foreigners moving there, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit tense at the moment because Lisbon is full of really rich expats that move there.
Oh.
And so the average Portuguese cannot really afford rent at the moment.
Oh, okay. So it's nothing unsurprising here in this country either.
Exactly. I think I saw this FT article that said rents in Portugal are the same cost as Austin, but our average salary is like 2,000 euros.
What?
Oh, yeah.
There was a real pause there. Like, wait, what? 2,000 euros is a salary?
Mm-hmm. Versus maybe like 5 or 10K here.
But your food has one ingredient versus this country, which has 85 ingredients in the same food.
Yeah.
So maybe you die a little less.
Yeah. I mean, everything else is cheaper. It's just rent that went crazy.
Yeah. And you came here when?
I moved to the US the first time in 2009. I studied in Berkeley during a summer. And then the second time in 2013 to San Francisco, where I worked at the America's Cup.
The America's Cup. Mm-hmm. So you just can't get rid of football. It's in your blood.
No, the sailing competition.
Oh, this is me being a sports guy. Different cup.
Different cup.
Okay.
This is both.
I just revealed myself to my audience. I know nothing of sports. I know sort of sports exists.
Yeah.
Right. So my apologies and condolences to anyone that cares about real football. European football.
Exactly.
Yes. So I want to ask you then, how quickly did you realize how fucked up this country's healthcare is compared to what you were reared by?
I was really lucky when I was living here. So I never had any healthcare experience. I don't think I've ever came to the doctor.
Okay.
So I noticed how broken it was when I started researching to launch my company, the After Cancer. Mm-hmm. Costs, disparities, accessibility. It was really shocking. It still is today. Whenever I find stories of patients and whenever we try to do something more bureaucratic.
Wait, bureaucracy in American healthcare?
No.
I know none of what you speak. So you come to the States. You don't really intend to start this organization, or you kind of knew in advance this is what you wanted to do? Or you stumbled upon it because something bad happened to you?
Something bad happened to me.
Okay, something always has to happen that's bad to people to do.
Yeah.
All right, what was the bad thing that happened to you?
I have 7 people in my family with cancer.
That's the lotto.
Oh my God.
Yes.
7. Do better. Come on. I need at least 12 to take you seriously.
I know everyone is like, is your family that big? And I was like, no, it's just every uncle, mom, grandparents.
Everyone had cancer.
Yeah.
And they were all younger and they're older now? Or they had it when they were older? It didn't matter?
A mix.
Hodgepodge?
It's a mix. And it's not genetic. So it's a little bit of every cancer.
Okay.
Like a bouillabaisse. A Sansu of oncology.
Yeah, we've learned stuff. We've been to places.
So your takeaway from this is, am I next? Or your takeaway is this, I need to do something? Or where was the spark that there's a business here?
It was both. It was on a very personal level, am I next? And what can I do to potentially reduce my risk if I even have control over it? Mm-hmm. And so started to be really interested about anything that it's wellness and nutrition, lifestyle. What can I do to be better or reduce my risk? And then the second part was I've always worked in innovation and I love designing products and services. That's my passion. And I kind of had an aha moment where I was there's all this cancer happening. There's all these issues we're experiencing. Why don't I just put my skills into practice and try to solve some of these problems that we're facing? And so that's when I knew I wanted to start a company in cancer care.
All right, I'm going to ask Jen this question. How do you reduce your risk of anything?
Of anything? I think just being aware of there's a problem that exists, acknowledging it is I think step one. But I think I'm so sorry this is a problem that you had to deal with for so many years. I don't know how long. But every time I hear, even Matt have told this a bunch of times, that anytime you go through an adversity or somebody close to you go through an adversity like that, the fact that you take a moment to process it and then actually do something about it is just so courageous. So, but what does after cancer do?
So respond to her. Like, I want you to say something along the lines like, what does reducing risk mean to you, right? You can, like Lance Armstrong got cancer in the peak of his condition. So what would your response to that be?
Reducing risk for me meant understanding the things that I can control and the things that I cannot control.
Yeah.
And not being paranoid and living a life and being on my 20s and my 30s and still having fun. So it was a lot about learning and like personal development in a certain way, but also learning like what sources to trust information, because you can get very like for self-search and internet, you can become very like paranoid because everything can cause cancer apparently.
Everything does cause cancer. Don't you know that? If it didn't, no one would be afraid of everything.
Yeah.
I mean, the commercials for the drugs tell you they cause cancer as side effects while you're trying to treat your cancer.
That is something really shocking for me, talking about U.S. healthcare. The fact that here there's so many ads about medication that it's like prescribed. That's not possible in Europe.
I think we're one of the only 1 or 2 or 3 countries allowed to broadcast ads for drugs on television and radio.
Yes, it's United States and New Zealand.
In New Zealand. Man, those guys, what's wrong with them?
I don't know. No, you're not allowed to do this anywhere else.
Yeah, go figure. Yay, America.
Yeah. Can you imagine being a doctor and someone comes to you and is like, you're prescribed something to your patient. They're like, no, I want the medication on the ad because that one looked really good.
I've always thought about that. How many, you can't quantify this as no answer to the question, but show me the moment that a patient saw an ad for a drug and talked to their doctor about the drug. And the doctor said, sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
And almost all of these ads start with ask your doctor about this or ask your doctor to prescribe this. I don't know if that actually happens.
No, shouldn't your doctor tell you?
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to ask your doctor. Am I the doctor? No, I don't know better. You're the doctor. Ridiculous. So I'm glad you had a little bit of a comeuppance to how ridiculous the media is in this country with pharma. I suppose where I want to go with this now is going back a little bit in history. Back when cancer was a death sentence and we didn't even think about anything beyond whatever living meant. I was diagnosed 30 years ago. It was like, walk it off. Good luck. Get your life back together. Figure it out yourself. There was no what's next. We coined this term called the new normal for a while. And then survivorship came around. And then, oh my God, your quality of life matters too? Who knew? And then mental health mattered too. And, you've been doused in the young adult cancer space, which I helped give birth to in a sense. And it was all about, I think Stuart Scott said, cancer may leave your body, but it never leaves your life.
Yeah.
Right? So what possessed you in all your glamorous, glorious, Lisbon-driven wisdom to get into life after cancer versus life during or before cancer?
It was like, from our personal experience, what shocked me the most was, one, cancer-free doesn't mean you're healthy.
Yeah.
And I think you're always like, okay, we're just going to go through treatment and then you're going to be cured and then everything's going to be okay. It's not okay. And just the lack of support thereafter. We're privileged. We've been able to like self-navigate space and try to find answers to the questions we had and like solve quality of life and mental health. But the reality is most people don't. And for me, that was so unfair that I wanted to fix that problem. And if you think like from like, if I put my business hat, we think so much money has been put into investment in pharma, better diagnosis, treatments. Now we're like suffering the consequences of that, which is cancer survivors. And it's awesome and it's amazing. And we're just not doing anything about it. So why do you invest so much money in trying to cure cancer and treat people if you don't take care of them afterwards?
Oh, that's a really, really obvious answer.
Yeah.
There's no money in the after. There's only money when you're in treatment. There's only money when you stay on medication. There's only money in chronic disease. I just had a conversation last week. Actually, Jen and I were on a call with a group called the Academy of Oncology Nurse Navigators. These are nurses who take a subspecialty practice in oncology to guide the patients through and after, right? They're the anchors and the handrails if you happen to have one at your cancer center, which are not at every cancer center.
Yeah.
But they're loss leaders. They don't make money for the hospitals because they're here to help the patients rehabilitate and get off their meds. They're finally a billing code because they prove that they do just enough to make the hospital money while at the same time being a loss leader, getting people back to their lives when they don't need medication. It's all about the Benjamins.
I get what you're saying. Like, no, there's no money in pharma after treatment, but there's money being spent because patients are trying to self-navigate that space. And so they're shopping around for mental health services and what specialist should I see now and how do I treat my side effects? There's a really interesting report by the American Cancer Society about the cost of survivorship. And the reality is, like, it's being spent on average $5,000 per year per cancer survivor on survivorship care specifically. And so, no, there's no pharma money, but there's health plans money and self-insured employers money and patients money.
All right. You're talking about something really important to me, which I call cancer retail. But let's take a quick break and we'll talk about that when we get right back. I said cancer retail, and I think this is a phenomenal phenomenon. Now that cancer patients are thought of more as what they really are, which is consumers in a store they didn't want to shop inside of, they're more aware that they need help they know they're not going to get, that was never really available to them from a consumer perspective. And with the dawn of concierge medicine and a lot of these products and services like cool caps or lymphedema sleeves or certain cosmetic brands, their marketing, I always thought it's like the cancer aftermarket. But it's a terrible way to think about it. Yeah. The cancer aftermarket of millions of Americans seeking either mental help, physical help, practical help, cosmetic help, whatever they need. But there's a marketplace now that they can find these services. Is that what you were sort of foreshadowing in your early recon of why this organization exists?
Are you talking about like our organization?
Yeah, After Cancer.
Well, what we notice is if you Google your side effects or whatever you're trying to solve, you're going to get like two different things. One is cancer retail, particularly on Google. If you look at the paid search, it's like, don't do chemo, try this supplement. Like, where's the evidence? Nowhere. Like, we have some of our patients that have spent thousands of dollars on those things because they're desperate. They just want to, like, a miracle cure sounds great. And then the other search that you get is just really long text from hospitals. And so I find that there's a big gap on the direct-to-consumer support, that it's evidence-based, and I put this in capital letters. So we're not selling supplements or retail products or anything like that, but it's how can we put together the comprehensive services that these patients need to get them to be able to live life at their fullest.
Right. So they're basically buying a product to help them navigate survivorship.
We do more than navigating. So
in general, the concept here is that the American cancer survivor is now a consumer of services that was not previously an available marketplace, and you are part of that marketplace.
Yes.
That's fascinating. Yeah. That's progress.
It is. And I hate the fact that patients are consumers, but it is what it is. And I think that's important. We thought a lot in our business in the early days, like, do we want to do business to business and sell this to hospitals or sell this to pharma or sell this to health plans? And we decided to go to direct to consumer routes. Mm-hmm. And one of the main reasons is accessibility. Like if you are in one of the big cancer centers, you're going to have so many extra services that like the average American who's treated at a community hospital doesn't have. Right. And so for us, that's really important. Be able to be there for patients because they're in a fragile state and they're shopping around things that are really dangerous.
The fact that cancer was called a death sentence to actually people getting treated and people actually care about what happens to their life after getting treated. I think we've come a long way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like you said direct to consumer.
Yeah.
Because, again, for years, cancer patients weren't considered consumers. We were victims in the 90s. And then we were like, oh, just good luck with your life in the 2000s. And then we were like survivors and in the
like battleground,
right.
all the battleground.
Fights and battles and wars and this and killing in military language. I love and hate the fact that there's now a retail marketplace for your quality of life.
Yeah.
When they dump you on the street and excise you from the cancer center with no follow-up care plans, despite there being care plan strategies that you should be given, and it's not really given there. Morally and ethically, it used to be anathema to expect cancer patients to pay for things they didn't ever have to need because of the moral injury of going through their trauma. And now cancer patients as consumers and their families as consumers are happy to invest their dollars in valuable things that they can't get anywhere else. And you're saying this is part of that ecosystem. Whatever it costs to be a part of this service or buy this product or use this cream that doesn't give you cancer, right? It's a real economic win in a sense, right?
And I think it's also a win for patients being empowered and having decisions.
Yeah.
Because the reality is 10 years ago, they didn't have decisions. There was just nothing. And like, for me personally, I had to go through this, like, am I okay with this? Because it felt bad at the beginning. Like I'm selling something to people who are really sick. But that's
you had a moral dilemma?
A little bit, yeah.
Well, I can understand where she's coming from. That
like preying on victims concept?
Not victims.
I went really hard on that one.
I was like, please don't put that one. I don't know how to answer. But it was, am I okay with this? And how do I know that what I'm doing is doing good? And it's not harming them, and that the dollars that they potentially invest in our services have a return on investment.
Yeah.
And that was really important for us. And of course, we're looking at ways of how to get reimbursement for health plans and how to make this reimbursed so that patients are not spending their own money, because it should be reimbursed because they are spending money and insurance is spending money on the lack of support that these patients have. But yeah, it was about how can we make sure that we're building something and we're building a product that really helps them. And so from day one, we started measuring outcomes.
What kind of outcomes do you measure?
So we did a 6-week program with breast cancer patients following a specific integrative oncology protocol. And we saw that at the end of those 6 weeks, patients improved their quality of life and reduced their symptoms by 25%.
Oh, wow.
And also depression symptoms.
So they're getting matched with a coach, a mentor, a medical professional. How does the platform work?
So we believe in asynchronous care and we believe in group care. And that's two of the things that make our services more affordable and more accessible to cancer patients. So within the After Cancer, we have a membership that you can join. It's $24.90. So think about it as a gym. And you are matched with a group of patients who have a similar diagnosis to you. And then within that group of patients, you can meet up on a circle. There's a group chat that is moderated by someone from our team. And then we have a calendar of group sessions. Like there's something happening every day where we're educating patients and helping them make evidence-based interventions to reduce risk of recurrence and improve quality of life. So there's mental health, mindfulness, there's physical activity, there's chats with a doctor about hormonal health or sexual health or fear of recurrence.
So it's a buddy program meets a spin class meets a therapist.
And a gym.
And a gym.
And a gym. Yeah. Because one of the things we notice is the fragmentation of services. And if you do all of those things that are evidence-based and that can help you in one place, then you're getting the services all coordinated. So we know that you attended that class or that you watched, we have a lot of async programs about side effects, et cetera. And that if you watch that and that you're meeting with other patients in our circle, so you can really follow what's going on with you and also like help you go through it. One thing that I'm really passionate about is prevention and screening. You were mentioned earlier that there are survivorship care plans, that there's guidelines. The same comes from screening protocols. There are guidelines, and then it's up to the doctor to follow it or not. And you see very conservative doctors who want to see the patients like more times than the guidelines. And then you see the other way around. Like we have a patient who's a triple negative breast cancer patient, and her doctor doesn't believe in scans.
Oh my God.
What?
Oh my God.
Yes.
Are you
Wait,
serious?
say that again. There's a breast cancer oncologist who doesn't believe in scans, or we need context for this.
She goes to the doctor to check up her health like every 3 or 6 months, but she doesn't get scans.
What kind of checkup do you get without scans?
Don't ask me.
How you feeling? I'm great. Good. Good night.
No, but I don't understand. Are you serious?
These guidelines are not really mandatory. There's no one checking if those
Well,
guidelines
that's the
are
whole
being
point
followed.
of guidelines is their recommendations, they're unenforceable.
Yeah.
I built some of them and they're unenforceable.
Oh my God. That's almost unbelievable.
Yeah.
So they do a physical breast exam and that's it?
Yeah.
All right, show's over. I'm going home. All right, let me spend the rest of the show on the young adult cancer movement.
Okay.
What nonprofits, I'm biased, of course, but what nonprofits, when you decided they're going to enter the space, you're any age at this point now. Have you seen a trend that this is going younger, or what made you decide to dip into that part of the pool, that being young adult cancer?
So when we started the After Cancer, we were seeing mostly like middle-aged women. Mm-hmm. And then we started having like a couple of younger folks, and we started understanding that their needs are so different. Like a 30-year-old woman with breast cancer has totally different needs from a 50-year-old. And so we started digging, like, how can we help? How can we curate our programs to a younger audience? And so when we went to CancerCon, that was our main goal, was like, let's
Was that
learn.
your first trade show?
It was the first one like that with patients, yeah.
Wow.
We had been in like fundraising events and making strides and runs, walks, whatever. But it was the first event like that, and I loved it.
I would hope so. You're telling the guy that invented it. So it'd be really a shame if you said it was terrible. Actually, I don't run it anymore, so you blame the next person.
No, it was great. It was great for two reasons. Like personally, I learned so much. I met so many people. I heard so many stories. We met folks that I'm still in touch with, and I loved it. And I'm not a patient. So I
Never apologize for that, by the way.
No.
It's a good problem to have that you're not a patient.
I don't, but it was wonderful.
Although apparently you're next, given your family. So
No, don't say that.
I don't think
the
he's
dark
wrong.
humor has to work somehow.
I don't think he's wrong, though, but it is what it is. No, but the fact that I was able to connect heart to heart with patients, that doesn't exist usually in events like this. So that was a personal aspect of it. But then for the After Cancer, it was like a lot of learnings on what exists, what doesn't exist, and how are these guys, what questions do they have, and how are they
What
behaving?
did you learn from being there? What was? Did you have any trends in feedback by meeting people?
I think what I learned...
Just make something up. I'll believe you anyway.
Now, what I learned the most was that at least the folks who attended, they're really like self-advocates, and they're really like harsh consumers, and I loved it. Because they're not going to like buy whatever or like follow whatever you say. Like you really have to build trust, and it's a harder sell in a certain way for young adults. And I liked it because I was like, that's so good. That means you're learning and doing research, and you're like empowered and making decisions, not just following whatever someone tells you.
So I was telling Jen about the game Cards Against Humanity, which she hadn't heard about.
I don't know what
and
that
I'm
is,
trying to
actually.
explain it to her, and it's hard to explain like what the game is. All right, people that are listening know the game, but you invented Cards Against Cancer, and that was like the greatest throwback gimmick I could even think of, because we were the first company, Stupid Cancer, to use the middle finger on our shit. We were like the anti-yellow wristband. There was a big middle finger on our black wristbands, and they were red, and it was dark, and it worked. We sold hundreds of thousands of them, and you brought it back, and you changed this game around, and I was just so impressed. Please tell me there's a great story behind the origin of Cards Against Cancer.
It was for CancerCon. We were like, how can we make something that people will
Wait,
notice?
you invented it for the conference?
Yeah.
I'm even more impressed. I'm even more impressed.
I was like, how can we do something with marketing that people will notice? And I don't like brochures that tell about the services. Like, how
and
can
people noticed? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm like, for the listener, my jaw is down. All props, all kudos. That was the stroke of genius marketing gimmick. I hope it's not a gimmick. You need to franchise the hell out of that thing.
We're actually thinking about doing a second version of it, like crowdsourcing ideas for the cards, the answers, and the
That
and
would
the
be
questions.
fantastic. You do really well with that.
Yeah, that's in the
Wait,
plan.
tell me you have the domain too.
Of course. Oh, I don't.
All right, to the internet.
Exactly.
But it went off without a hitch. Everyone loved it. I loved it. I walked out what is this? Oh my God, Cards Against Cancer.
And you know what impact it had that really moved me? There was this girl that came to our table and said, I love Cards Against Cancer. I'm here with my friend and we were playing it last night. And we had really real conversations of stuff that I went through when I had cancer that she didn't know. And so thanks to that game, I was able to tell her things.
wow.
You changed one life. You changed the world. So the website is The After Cancer?
Yes, the aftercancer.com.
Because I'm assuming aftercancer.com was taken.
No, you know what? We're kind of shopping around for a new name. I saw your background is in advertising. So if you have a great idea, please share.
What the fuck do I do now? .health.
That's too long.
No one will ever go there.
Yeah.
Not a real website.
But for us it made sense to keep the after cancer because it's that space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not just after cancer. That's what hospitals is after cancer, bye, go back.
Yeah,
It's
good luck.
you're in that space, the after cancer. And
No,
so
I think I like the
that's
after
how it
cancer.
started. Right now, I honestly feel it's a little bit too long and I don't know what to do about it, but it's working.
The only thing, this is unique to me, I resonate with it because on Instagram, at Matthew Zachary is hijacked by a squatter in Asia for the last 15 years. I am desperate to figure out how to get it. It's never posted. It's never there. So I'm the Matthew Zachary on Instagram. So when I heard the after count, done. I'm in. The is all I need to drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
So bravo by accident for knowing that I got hijacked on Instagram and my handle resonates with the name. So theaftercancer.com.
Yes.
And people sign up. Is there a trial period? Talk us through that and then we'll wrap up.
We have a freemium version of the platform, so you can sign up for free and you have access to select content, select group sessions. And then we have the membership, which is $24.90. We're really focused on making this.
Why that price? That's very specific. $24.90.
And not 99.
America's $1.99. That's this country. You're missing the zeitgeist.
I know Chase, my co-founder, is always like, where's the 10 cents?
Yeah. All right.
We want to make it affordable. We want it to feel like a gym membership. And that's why the price is like that.
No, the price is great. Just you hit there's the $1.90, everything 99 cents, right? The greatest trick pulled on people is making them think it's cheaper by taking a penny away.
Yeah.
Exactly. 10 cents away and it's cheaper, but just made sense.
Well, I'm glad you dropped by. It was so wonderful to meet you. Where was it again? Where was CancerCon? I should know this. Austin. There's my brain.
Yeah.
I don't work there anymore. I just it was one. I'm glad. It warms my heart for real. Like that, it still exists to serve a purpose. You discovered it. It was your first date into this incredible ecosystem of Gen Yers and Gen Zers who don't want to be there.
Yeah.
I loved your comment about them being really savvy, which they are. They're choosing to be there.
Yes.
I hope it gave you so much market insight and feedback to scale and grow your platform. And we're going to hear more from you in the future. I wish you the absolute best of luck. Again, the website, the After Cancer. So Mariana, I'm going to say Arnaut, Portuguese. What is it?
In Portuguese is Arnaut.
I don't know.
All right, I'll let you say that. Mariana Arnaut.
Arnaut. Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah, good R.
For a Jew in Brooklyn, Arnaut. Okay. CEO and founder of the After Cancer, a platform dedicated to supporting cancer survivors through integrative care. That's it. We're done. No. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks.
Jan, as always, great
Thank
job.
you.
Out of Patience with Matthew Zachary is a production of Matthew Zachary Worldwide. The executive producer is Matthew Zachary. It is mixed and edited by Kyle Moore. If you like the show, ratings and reviews are always welcome wherever you get your podcasts. If you have guest suggestions or would like to learn more about sponsorship opportunities, email podcast@matthewzachary.com. For more information about Matthew Zachary and Matthew Zachary Worldwide, visit matthewzachary.com.